I think a lot of people are being dishonest when they have the porn conversation. Um, but like, what is like? So, what is driving the anti-porn movement now? Because these critiques have always been like, there's always been an anti-porn movement amongst the feminist movement. We know there's been an anti-porn movement amongst like Judeo-Christians in America. But like, what's causing all of these laws? These porn ID laws now, and they always frame it as protecting the kids, which is why I say a lot of the times, I kind of hate the way kids can be used in politics because everyone
Oh,
turns
yeah.
their like we turn our brains off. But so like, do you have? Is there anything that you notice about why is it happening now? Like, why is it starting now? This serious push where laws are actually passing now.
Well, I mean, so I think that the evangelical feminist alliance isn't as odd as it might sound, because at root they basically want the same things in a lot of arenas. So I think most people recognize that men and women are different. I mean, women are 6 verbal IQ points smarter, and men are twice as strong, and so on. But the great strengths on either side. But they're basically equal, and they should have pretty much equal rights in most situations. There's not a major EQ difference in most cases between men and women or something like that. But I think that evangelical Christians and feminists, radfems, do think there are radical differences between men and women, and they favor dramatic restructuring of social codes to reflect that. And that's something I haven't really prepared my breakdown of that right now, so I'm not going to get into it. But I mean, so like both of them do favor extreme restriction of dating, for example. So like any allegation of sexual violence by either party should be taken incredibly seriously. So like, if someone had sex drunk, and the first line of that, obviously, like to some extent, yes, of course, you should take rape charges seriously. But the idea that if someone had sex while intoxicated, they can credibly claim to be raped if their partner was also intoxicated and they consented, I think that's something that almost all feminists and a surprising number of evangelicals, but not a lot of mainstream citizens would agree with, if that makes sense.
No, yeah,
Because the idea is that men and women should not be in that situation. There's an idea of kind of protected courting. The and actually, I don't know. I might be kind of rambling about some of this, but the idea is that men and women are quite different. They need to be protected from one another. Um, Sex has kind of a dirty element. um the idea might be they might differ in terms of who needs to be protected from who. So in the Christian tradition, the idea has always been kind of Jezebel and Delilah, right? Like men are solid warriors and whores distract them. They pull them away from their wives or from the battlefield. So you want to confine sex to the arena of domestic marriage where a man is probably dominant most of the time, and that's it. And you don't want too much temptation for the guy, and you certainly don't want to tempt the wife away from her husband and lord. For the feminists, it's kind of the reverse. Like they'll usually have sex, often in surprisingly kinky ways, with guys they like, but they think overall men dominate women and harm women, and heterosexual sex probably isn't ideal. Many feminist friends of mine have said they wish they were lesbians. Depictions of sex hurt women because it makes men think women are sexual partners or whatever. The whole thing's kind of hard for me to
objects, yeah,
process. But the two of which is a meaningless
yeah. I
term,
know.
but the two groups tend to agree. They differ on who's getting hurt, but they tend to agree that just looking at sex is bad. And they tend to agree on a lot of other things like this, like just casual dating is very risky. Hoarding is a good idea. Men and women have very, very, very different strengths, and so on down the line.